Romans chapter 10, verse 14 to 15. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? And how shall they preach unless they are sent? Today, I has sent a preacher in the person of Evangelist Rodney Brown, your humble servant for Christ's sake. And now, Evangelist Rodney Brown.
How to start a relationship at last. How to start a relationship. Let us do things decently and in order. I would have said this morning that we are particularly ministering to people who want to start relationships, like Tyrese, but I have control, so I will not call Tyrese's name. Good. Let me remind you from the get-go that there is only one purpose for a relationship, and that is marriage. I've observed so much pain over the years because of bad relationships. I believe strongly that God has guided me to help people to learn how it's done and to avoid as much pain as possible. We've been dealing with unmasking. We've been dealing with avoiding expectations, false expectations. We've been dealing with courtship. Today, we're dealing with starting relationships. A great marriage often begins with a great start. So, how to start a relationship? Before I get into the meat of the matter, let's first chat about how you know you're ready for a relationship and what to do before or while you prepare yourself for a relationship. And then we're going to get into how to start a relationship. 1 Corinthians 14:40 says, "Let all things be done decently and in order." How do I know I'm ready for a relationship? I'm going to run through these very quickly, and if you need any details, you can, down in the comment section, you can write, you can ask me and I will give you details. Or you could wait until we do the live session eventually where I would have questions and answers. But I'm just going to run through this. How do I know I'm ready for a relationship? I'm above the legal age for marriage. In Trinidad and Tobago, I'm subject to correction, but it's 18 in Trinidad and Tobago. I am prepared, secondly, I'm prepared for the responsibility of a family. And I have done as well some job specs for husbands and wives, which in my book that I've written, so that you can refer to that on your own timing as well. Thirdly, I have a proper self-esteem. If I don't have a proper estimation of myself, it could cause problems in marriage. So I need to get myself together. I need to be complete before I go to join myself with somebody else. So I need to have a proper self-esteem. I know myself. When I say I know myself, I mean I know what I can live with. I know my temperament. I know my purpose. I know what I am compatible with. Again, God has given me the go-ahead, and that's a big one. I don't want us to miss this one. Once God has given you the go-ahead, you know you're ready for a relationship. I am not selfish. And mind you, as I said before, the opposite of selfishness is love, or vice versa. The opposite of love is selfishness. So once I know I am not selfish to the extent that I will cause problems for somebody else, then I know that I might be ready for marriage. I am able to compromise because marriage takes compromising. I am complete and balanced, and I alluded to this before. I am not getting into a relationship to complete me. I am already complete. And yeah, I'm not going into a relationship to compete either. That was a slip of the tongue. I am not dependent on others for my personal devotions. I have my own relationship with God, and I am not dependent on a wife or a husband, as the case may be, to to help me with that devotion to God. I can do that on my own already. So I'm not dependent on others for my personal devotion with God. I am employable, especially men. And I'm old school, so yeah, especially men. Not that women shouldn't be employable. I think everybody should be employable in preparation for a relationship, but especially men. I have domestic skills for both men and women because there are different domestic skills that we are built for. So I have domestic skills. I am prepared for a lifelong covenant. I'm not one of those people who would wake up and change my mind in the morning. So that if I cover those and perhaps a little more, I know I am prepared for marriage. Secondly, the second point of 3 is what to do while you prepare for a relationship. Do yourselves a favor. And I'm talking to girls now, so guys could turn their ears off. I'm talking particularly to the young girls, to the teenage girls. Teenage girls, save yourself this stress. At your stage, you should have lots of friends, plenty boyfriends. And when I say plenty boyfriends, be careful with how you interpret that. So you should have plenty friends, a lot of friends, without intimate commitment to anyone. Nobody should be calling you as a teenage girl asking you, where are you? Let me see your phone. Come for your time. Nobody should be locking you down in your teenage life. Your teenage life needs to be free. Your teenage life, you need to live your teenage life. And this is what you should be doing. You don't want commitment or confinement to anybody in terms of boyfriend and that kind of stuff at this point. At this stage, you should be developing socially, spiritually, mentally, etc. You need to give yourself room to grow. Develop marriageable skills. Sharpen up on home management and budgeting, nurturing, things like that. Be careful not to make commitments too early. Boys will constantly change. I'm telling you this. Their bodies will be changing. Their likes will change. Their thoughts will be changing. Their feelings will be changing. That's just the nature of a boy, and that's how a boy is supposed to be. Even up to their late 20s, when the average woman their age would have stabilized, boys are still changing until they become men. Even then, there will still be some minor changes happening. So when you are at the stage, young girls, when you are at the stage, teenage girls, when you are ready for a relationship, look for a man, not a boy. Dating and having boyfriends at your stage is more than likely going to hurt really badly. Your future self will thank you if you just wait and prepare yourself. Now, girls, switch your ears off for a while. And guys, switch on your ears, because this is for you. Young boy, you know you're not ready to settle down. You are not ready to walk down the aisle to leave the comfort, provision, and safety of your mommy and your daddy's house. You know that. You know you're not ready to literally put your life on the line for a woman, because that's what is required. You're required to give your life for a woman. From the time you start relationship, and I know the Bible strictly speaks about husbands and wives, but from the time you start a relationship, you need to know that your life is on the line anytime her life is in danger. So if you know you're not ready to put your life on the line for a woman, hold up. If you know you're not ready to be the one to get up when there's a noise outside in the night, you know, or when your wife wake you up, you'll say like, well, you heard it first, you go ahead now, sweetheart. That's not a man. That's not what a man does. And if you're not ready to get up first and go and look outside, hold up, wait, patience. If you know you're not ready to walk from store to store with a woman until you find the right bargain, if you know you're not ready to go through months of mood swings and foot rubs and throwing up while a wife carries your child, then wait. Most boys, you know you're not ready to stand up like a man and witness the vaginal stretching and tearing and snipping that can accompany childbirth. You know you're not ready to buy and change diapers and clean up baby vomit or suck mucus from a baby's nostrils. You know you're not ready to commit all your resources to the welfare of a family and to tell your friends and associates, even your siblings and parents, that you have new priorities now. If you know you're not ready to stick to and love one woman, regardless of what she does or even what she doesn't give you, and to be that calm spiritual leader in the midst of disaster, if you know you're not ready for these things, you need to wait. In fact, generally, teenage boys, and perhaps boys even in the early 20s, are not ready for this kind of commitment. You see, these things take testicular fortitude that only a mature man could have. At your stage, young men, teenage guys, at your stage, schoolboys, at your stage, you should have lots of friends, plenty girlfriends. And again, be careful of, how you interpret what I say as girlfriends, especially in light of the reasonable expectations message that I gave. But you should have lots of friends without an intimate commitment nor confinement to any. Nobody should be asking you at this stage to see your phone or to see who you're talking to. Nobody should be boxing you in at this time. This is your time to enjoy yourself without giving false expectations to anybody. This is your time to be free. This is your time to develop socially, spiritually, and mentally. This is your time to develop marriageable skills, to sharpen up on home maintenance and budgeting and protecting skills. Go learn to fight. Well, do something. Yeah? Be careful not to make commitments too early. Leave the people's children alone to grow up and to develop properly. And don't confuse them by getting involved with a little girl. It's unnecessary stress. And they don't make good wives, by the way. Little girls do not make good wives. So do yourself a favor. Wait until you're a man. And there's no disrespect with this. Wait until you're a man. Enjoy boyhood, if there's such a word. And when you're ready, with God's guidance and genuine intentions, pursue a woman. I really hope teenage boys and girls take that to heart. I meant it with all the love I can muster up. Thirdly, my third point is, and we're at that stage now where we're going to learn, pay attention now, where we're going to learn how to start a relationship. First of all, be genuinely deliberate before God as you commit to spiritual and self-development. Develop yourself. That's the first stage of starting a relationship. Develop yourself. Secondly, ensure that you are the kind of person for the kind of person you want. Let me say that again. Ensure, and I stressed this in videos before, ensure that you are the kind of person for the kind of person you want. And I can't stress that enough. You want to, at this stage, unmask people around you. Not only, don't just wait until you're ready for a relationship. Start unmasking people now. Start looking at people and try to see the real them. I'm not saying go judging people and that kind of stuff, but start unmasking them and silently seeing the real, practice seeing the real them behind what they present. By observing them, or while you're out in groups, practice. by interacting during activities, by serving together. You're going to observe people while you're doing these things. By being around their family members. You know, you would have friends. Just be around. Don't shy away from going home and being around the family members of your friends. So you're going to have a wider circle eventually. You're going to have perhaps an inner circle of closer friends. And that's going to boil down to really your closest friends. Ensure that you know their families. Ensure their families know you. You know, don't stand by the gate and call out for people and only have that interaction with them outside. Ensure that you know their families. Listen to their friends and their work colleagues. That's important. That's how we learned to unmask people. Listen. Beyond that, you want to listen to God. And I hope this doesn't sound too complicated. Go this video over again, get it in your system. Listen to God. How do I listen to God? Or how does God speak anyway? There are several ways that God has spoken throughout His Word in this new dispensation or in the new covenant. Albeit some of those ways were times when where signs were necessary so that there were spectacular things done. But I don't want to discredit those ways that God has been speaking to people and say now that I know God can't speak to people in those ways. I don't want to go there. So I'm just going to tell you how God spoke to people in the New Testament. Whether it was the early church when they needed that kind of sign, or whether it's now when the Word of God is already there for people to look at. He spoke to people through His Word. 2 Timothy 3:16. So He can speak to you through His Word. He spoke to people through other people. 1 Thessalonians 2 verse 13. So He can speak to you through other people. I said, listen to God. He can speak to you through circumstances. He can speak to you through those who truly care. He can speak to you through visions. He spoke to people in Acts 9, 10 to 12 through visions. He spoke to people in this new dispensation through your own reasoning based on His standards. 1 Corinthians 11, verse 13. He has spoken to people directly by His own booming voice in this dispensation. So I don't want to discredit or say that God cannot speak to you by His own voice. But that's just, again, I'm getting that from the Word of God. And He spoke to people through angels. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if He speaks to you, or if at some point in time He sends an angel to speak to you, albeit those were the times of the early church. While I would say all of this, you want to be very careful. You want to be very careful, because not every person, circumstance, vision, reasoning, voice, or spirit is of God. And I don't want you to miss that point. Not every person, circumstance, vision, reasoning, voice, or spirit is of God. You must know His voice. How do I know His voice? By knowing Him personally. I know there are people who believe that you can't know God personally, but His Word says you can have a personal relationship with Him. His Word says you can know Him personally by confessing with your mouth that Jesus Christ is Lord and believing in your heart that God raised Him from the dead. You can know Him personally. And mind you, when He speaks, you will find that whatever you're hearing from whatever source will never contradict God's Word. So my point here, in the process of starting a relationship, is listen to God. Okay? So now we are down to the making your move. And I know some people might be particularly interested in this part. Do not let them know too early that you might be interested in a lifelong relationship. So that you want to observe, you want to give yourself enough observation time before they know that you are interested. If this is discovered too early, they might do one of several things. And I'm going to name 3 things that they could possibly do, but there are probably other things that they can do, including the fact that really none of these things necessarily would happen. You might get lucky, who knows? But they can feel you're coming on too strong and pull away. They can, secondly, mask up if they are interested as well. So they might very well be interested, and knowing that you are now interested, they could mask up. They can make a premature move themselves. So they realize that you're interested in them, and they come and make a premature move before you hear from God. Again, these are just some of the things, some of the dangers in exposing your feelings too early. Remember I said, some people get lucky and things might just work out. Don't take, on the other hand, while I'm saying don't let them know too early, do not take too long to make an assessment. Note how carefully I'm saying this. Do not take too long to make an assessment, because that might give someone else the opportunity to move in and complicate matters. What is too long? I don't know. I feel a year is too long for you to be observing somebody. I think with the tools I gave you before, you might be able to observe somebody within 2 months. Perhaps, and I'm just pulling a number out of the sky. It might be shorter, it might take a little more time. And mind you, when you're dealing with overseas relationships or long-distance relationships, it's a little more difficult and technical to observe, I admit. You have to find ways to observe even in long-distance relationships. But don't take too long. And mind you, when you get the green light, when God says yes, go ahead. When you get that green light, females, be obviously available. And you know how to do it better than I could tell you how to do it. You know, be in his way. Be where he would most likely be. And I know females know how to do this only too well. And that's not bad. That's good. That's really good. Let him know that you're available without telling him, hey, let him know you're available. I am kind of old school, so I don't believe in females, and I know that's the question in some of your minds. Why don't you just walk up to him and say, hey, you're the man. I want you. Man, woman, let's get married. I mean, I know in this day and age, females feel that they should do that. But here what's going on. I believe in the old school, and there are benefits of the old school way. So I believe you should let him make the move. Yeah? Is that okay? Talk to me about it in the comments. Talk to me about it. See if it probably could change my mind. Males, when God gives you the green light, listen, man, make your move. When God gives you the green light, make your move. Have some testicular fortitude. Be confident, be tactful, be brave. Tell her how you feel. I remember somebody telling a young lady, do you think you could live with me for the rest of your life? And while I'm saying this, I'm hearing somebody chuckling on my side. She remembers those lines. Do you think you could live with me for the rest of your life? I mean, that's probably just a corny line, and you could probably be more tactful than that. But I'm saying, go for it. Do not be too aggressive nor demanding. Leave her some wiggle room. Shoot your shot, but be prepared to accept a no. Be also prepared to go out on that first date and begin courtship with something fun and morally and physically safe. That's what you need to do once you get God's green light. What did we cover? And we are finished. What did we cover? How to know when I'm ready for a relationship. What to do while preparing for a relationship. And how to actually start a relationship. As I said before, there are probably other methods, but I have found this to be a very safe method. Let us do things decently and in order.
Come on, if you want to see him in the midst of the noise, in the midst of the chaos.